Let me start with something very clear. This video is not about attacking individuals, promoting fear, or declaring that I possess hidden knowledge about secret worlds. It is not about demonizing people or calling for punishment. This video is about understanding human psychology, trauma, and spiritual ignorance, especially when power, wealth, and influence amplify those forces. Recent public discussions around the Epstein files have once again opened conversations about abuse, exploitation, secrecy, and moral collapse in certain elite circles. And while many people immediately focus on what allegedly happened, I believe the more important and more uncomfortable question is, why would human beings ever go there in the first place, and what kind of inner world produces such behavior? When we talk about elite circles, we need to be precise. We are not talking about rich people in general. We are not talking about success itself. We are not talking about ambition, intelligence, or leadership. We are talking about a very specific psychological profile that can sometimes emerge when immense power, extreme wealth, social immunity, and lack of accountability intersect with unhealed trauma and spiritual emptiness. History shows us something uncomfortable but consistent. When human beings are given power without inner maturity, their shadows don't disappear, they expand. There's popular saying that power corrupts. This might not be true completely. Power doesn't create darkness, it reveals what was already there. A person who is internally fulfilled, emotionally integrated, and spiritually grounded does not suddenly become predatory when they gain influence, but someone driven by deep inner unworthiness, fear of insignificance, obsession with control, and emotional numbness may use power as a drug, and like any addiction, the dosage must increase. At the center of this discussion is a wound that exists across all social classes, but becomes more dangerous at the top. The belief, I am not enough as I am. Many people try to heal this wound through money, validation, status, admiration, and for most people, a certain level of success brings relief. But in some individuals, the wound doesn't close, it deepens. They don't chase billions because they love money, they chase billions because they are still trying to prove their worth. And paradoxically, the more they acquire, the emptier they feel. Another crucial element is nervous system addiction. When someone is disconnected from authentic emotion, intimacy, and meaning, they often seek extreme stimulation just to feel something. This can manifest as sexual compulsion, domination fantasies, humiliation dynamics, or ritualized behavior, not because of pleasure alone, but because intensity temporarily masks emptiness. Some people become addicted to adrenaline, some to drugs, some to power, and some to emotional shock. When people hear words like ritual, demonic, or astral, many either take them literally or dismiss them entirely. Maybe they both miss the point. Whether one interprets these ideas symbolically or metaphysically, the underlying truth is this: a psyche ruled by fear, dominance, and dissociation becomes a hospitable environment for destructive patterns. You don't need to believe in literal entities to understand that unintegrated shadow behavior feeds on repetition, secrecy, and shame. In spiritual language, we call these forces entities. In psychology, we call them compulsions and trauma loops. Different maps, same terrain. There are allegations and testimonies suggesting that some individuals believe extreme acts grant vitality, youth, power, longevity. Whether taken literally or symbolically, the core driver is fear. Fear of aging, fear of losing relevance, fear of death, fear of being forgotten. This is what happens when people do not recognize the infinite nature of life itself. When someone believes their value ends with their body, status, or image, terror takes over. And terror makes people do irrational, destructive things. There's another layer here, especially relevant for men. Sexual energy is one of the most powerful creative forces we have. When integrated, it fuels clarity, purpose, creativity, and vitality. When repressed, distorted, or abused, it becomes compulsive. Many powerful men were never taught sexual responsibility or emotional intimacy. They learned conquest, not connection. Without conscious alchemy, sexual energy doesn't disappear, it mutates. This is something we explored more deeply in the previous video on lust and desire. Here's the uncomfortable truth. No group controls the world more than fear itself. Fear controls consumers, voters, leaders, elites, rebels. The moment we externalize evil entirely, we miss the point, because the same patterns exist on smaller scales inside all of us. How does real transformation happen? Not through outrage, not through witch hunts, not through obsession. Transformation begins with inner responsibility, by healing our own unworthiness, integrating our shadows, learning to regulate desire, and cultivating love rather than fear. A society grounded in self-awareness cannot be easily manipulated or exploited, and people who no longer need validation are immune to domination. This video isn't about condemning, it's about understanding. Because when we understand the roots of darkness, we stop feeding it. We are shining a light on it so nothing remains hidden and operate behind our backs. If we want a different world, we have to build different humans, starting with ourselves. Thank you for listening. If this resonated, reflect on it, question it, and integrate what's useful. And above all, choose love over fear.